Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. And it's a beautiful day out. It's in the mid 80s, sun's shining, not too many clouds in the sky. We've had kind of a roller coaster of a spring, probably some of you have too, wherever you're at. But this is pretty nice, but it's not gonna last because this is the Ozarks. And here in the next day or so, we're gonna go into probably an 8 or so day cycle of rain and storms, it looks like. So, well, we enjoy it while it lasts. I want to talk today about what to do when there is no money. You know, there's a few different reasons why there would be no money and what we should do and how we should prepare for that. Before I get started, if you don't mind clicking that little like and subscribe button below. It's painless and it doesn't cost you anything. It keeps you kind of in the loop on when I post new videos, and it lets me know that you approve of this message, and just, I guess it's a little bit of encouragement. But if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and clicking them down below. Also, I've been posting some videos over on my Patreon channel, and there's a link down in the description to take you to the Patreon channel. My latest one, I'm talking about this month's Pride Month. And how it relates to children. And I'm not going to go into too much details over here because it's YouTube, and YouTube doesn't like me talking like I do over on Patreon as much. So if you're interested in my opinions on those subjects, I've been posting a few videos on that, and it only costs $1 a month to get in the door, and I post a few videos a week over there. All right, on with the show. So there's a few reasons why we wouldn't have currency, money. And I know a lot of you are like, oh, there's a difference between currency and money. I do, I know that. But for the sake of this video, I might interchange the two. I'm talking about a currency, paper, or electronic in your bank account that you use to purchase goods and services. And I'm not talking about it from a perspective of you've run out of money. I'm talking about that there is none. In other words, hyperinflation. That's one big one. Hyperinflation happens and maybe there is money, but it just is worthless. Dollar crashes, and you know, it takes $10,000 to go buy a loaf of bread or something like that. The other alternative that it fits with this video is if we switch over to a digital currency. And you know, you could choose to accept that and to start using that as a means to purchase your goods and services. But a lot of you, like myself, have already expressed that you're just not going to partake in that system. You're not going to be part of that digital currency system. So while the hyperinflation thing, I can't guarantee that. No one can. It does look like we're headed down that path. I mean, you can look at the stats, the numbers, comparing us to places like Germany and Venezuela and other places, and it does look that way. And in fact, I was trying to find it and I can't find it, and it's a couple charts comparing us to Germany, Weimar Germany, the Weimar Republic in the 20s, and I'm just going to mention this and we'll move on. And it showed how inflation was happening, how they were printing a lot of currency, how the economy wasn't doing good for about a year or two. And then all of a sudden it got better. There was this little, you know, increase in goodness. You know, it started to look good. It was like, oh, that was just a little, you know, bad year or two, and it got better. And then all of a sudden things went crazy and the market fell, bottomed out, dollar hyperinflation, the German mark lost its value and hyperinflated. And a lot of people are and can compare that to now, that, you know, over the past 18 months, not doing good, market, dollar keeps going up, they're printing more dollars, more in circulation, more debt. And then right now, it kind of looks like the economy's starting to bounce back. And maybe it'll stay that way. Or maybe it'll do like Germany did in the German mark, and bounce back for a year or so, and then boom, hyperinflate. Thing is we can't guarantee that. Probably could happen. I mean, I think there's a pretty good chance, but we can't guarantee it. Now, the digital currency thing, I'd say I'm about 99.5% sure that that's going to happen in our lifetime. Everyone says it is. Everyone wants it. Every government official, every country, every world organization, every economist, every bank, every investor, they're all saying digital currency is happening. It is going to come. In what shape, size, and all that it's going to happen, we don't know, but I think it is going to come. So let's talk about, because we talk about this all the time, but let's talk about what do we do when that happens? Like, how do you live in a world without currency, without money? Paper currency, something easily transferable. Well, number one, that's why I say be prepared. Be able to be as self-sufficient as possible. I know some of you are going to say it's impossible to be completely self-sufficient. You're probably right for the average person in most of the United States, but I do think it is possible to be completely self-sufficient if you're willing to make that sacrifice. People did it once before, and there's no reason why it can't be done again. But at least being as self-sufficient as possible is going to definitely make your world a lot easier. The less dependent you are on the outside world, the less that it's the no currency thing is going to affect you. You know, if you can raise your own food and do a lot of things on your own property. So for those that you're able to, I would strongly encourage your prepping plan to not just be stocking up on canned foods and bullets and Band-Aids, but to also become as self-sufficient as possible. I think that's extremely important. In a hyperinflation scenario, hyperinflation sometimes aren't permanent. You know, they can bounce back. They may only last a couple of years, and then the economy could bounce back. And so if you just have enough stuff set aside for a couple of years, you might do all right. Now, there are situations like in Venezuela where they're dealing with a very controlling socialistic government, similar to what's becoming here in the United States. And they don't seem to be bouncing back from that. They seem to be just kind of staying there, kind of stagnant in that little world of no money. And so it's hard to say how it will, but you know, how it will happen. But you know, if you have 2 or 3 years worth of food and supplies, there's a possibility you could ride out that hyperinflation, and in 2 or 3 years, things pick back up and you do fine. Now, with the digital currency, it's a little different. That means that it's not about whether it costs too much, whether it takes too much currency to purchase the product. It's that you just don't have it. It doesn't exist to you. And I would think, and from the research that I've done, when this gets implemented, it's going to be absolute and total. They don't want to have any stragglers. They don't want to have any businesses still accepting other currencies. And there are ways that they can do that through business licenses, health license codes and stuff like that, that they can say, listen, if you don't do this, then you know, you can't stay in business. So that's going to make it difficult, near impossible, to purchase things in a normal manner. I suspect the black market will start to kind of pop out of nowhere for a lot of things, but you know that they're going to try to keep that from happening too, because that's just goes against their whole efforts to put everyone on a digital currency system. So in those two ways, you may not have money, or your money may not be worth anything. So what are some of the things to do? Again, be prepared and be self-sufficient. 2 things. Have a community. Have a network community. And community is a pretty relative term. You know, does that mean that you all live on one little property, like a little commune, or that you share the property with people? Is it just your neighbors, the people that you can walk to? Or is it people just in your area that you know, have at least some level of relationship with them, that you know that they're kind of like-minded, you can work with them. You know, you may not absolutely trust them in every possible way, but you trust them enough to do business with them. That's all community. And in doing that, you can basically trade and barter. And this question came up in the last couple of days on the channel in the comments. So I do want to address that. Trading and bartering are very close. They're very similar. And depending on what definitions you look at, the definitions kind of change and then they kind of bleed into each other. Basically, trading, in my mind, is goods and services. Bartering is typically just goods. And sometimes you're bartering an item for some kind of currency. It doesn't necessarily have to be paper currency. You know, in a bartering market, in a black market, other things can become currencies. Salt can become currency. Bullets can become currency. That kind of stuff. Of course, there's always precious metals, gold and silver. And I think they're great, and I think you should have some. But there's also the question, especially with gold, because of its value, of how do you break that down? You know, right now gold's at like $1,900 an ounce. And even if you break that down into grams, that's still $60 a gram, approximately, for gold. And, you know, how you going to buy just one loaf of bread? Of course, the value of it could definitely change in a hyperinflated market or in a digital currency market. But, you know, we don't know exactly how that would work out. So I'm not saying not to have gold and silver. If you do, I always recommend having it in small denominations. You know, people that buy big gold bars and bricks and stuff that have the money to do so, it's going to be hard to survive in a bartering economy if you've got a 3-pound, you know, brick of gold or something like that. How are you going to break that down into something small? So I always look at stuff like dimes and quarters. I really hardly ever have anything larger than a quarter of an ounce denomination for those purposes, with the exception of maybe a few. But most of what I invest in gold and silver, actual physical gold and silver, not the certificate where you're investing in the stock, but the actual physical, I usually keep it in 1/10 and 1/4 ounces. I always feel that the smaller the denomination, the better. So that's always a possibility. But I really think the bartering is going to be the best. And, you know, you have to be careful. If it's people that you don't know, that's probably going to be outlawed under a digital currency. Hyperinflation, probably not. But digital currency, it's very possible that a bartering economy would be illegal. And so you're going to have to be careful of who you deal with for legal purposes. You know, they could rat you out to the government. You have to be careful about that they could, you know, take advantage of you. They could steal all your stuff. You know, it's not a good idea to go to their place or them to come to your place. You know, go in a public place or a neutral place. Have people, you know, don't go alone. Maybe go there a little early and kind of scope it out. It wouldn't hurt to have someone stay behind a little ways where they could kind of monitor the situation. It really all depends upon kind of the nature of what's going on, you know, how bad things get. Also, as a tip, it doesn't hurt to stock up on a few extra things that you think might be good in a bartering system. I mean, I mentioned bullets, and I'm not a big fan. I don't want to get rid of my bullets. And I don't want them to know that I have a bunch. But a lot of people think that that is a good way to barter. I think I would do that with people that I know and trust, and that's about it. But salt's a good one. Canning supplies, food, medical supplies, gasoline or other fuels. These are all good things that you can, you know, use to barter with. And seeds, garden seeds, plant seeds. Those are all good things that you can have to barter with. This may very much become a reality. Either it will become a reality in your life, or you will have to just accept this new system of global digital currency. And the bad thing with that is, and I've mentioned it before, is that in a global digital currency, they can control everything you do. They can control every aspect of your money. They can turn it on and off whenever they want to for whatever purchases they want to. If they feel that you've bought enough, junk food for the month, they can shut it off and you can't buy any more junk food. If they want to shut it off that you can't purchase guns or ammunition, they can do that. Whatever it is, they have absolute control over what you purchase. Everything you purchase, they can monitor and they can control it. And like I said the other day, that's a level of Big Brother that people have never seen before, and it's not something we want to get into. But it looks like it's happening regardless. So I think it's something that this living a life without currency, I think it's something that you should be very aware of. And I think it's something you should be making serious plans for and developing a strategy, developing a network of people, talking to your neighbors and the people that you know that are like-minded about this. If things get bad, we, could barter, trade, that kind of stuff. Because the alternative is to either have a currency that's worthless or to have a currency that is absolutely and completely, totally monitored by Big Brother. Again, it's important. And I think that at least the digital currency part is going to happen. Everything you read about, everything. It's not just going to happen, but they're excited for it to happen. It's the best thing to happen. It's the only way to help the economy, the American and global economy. And I don't know that there's any way around it. I think we've taken this, path too long for us to turn around as a nation when it comes to digital currency. So it's something to be aware of and to be planning for. I mentioned the community, and so I want to do a little plug for this weekend. June 6th, we're having a local meeting here in the Ozarks. I'm in the central Missouri Ozarks. If you're in that area, you're willing to drive, shoot me an email at preparedhomestead@protonmail.com. I'll let you know where it's at and the details to it. And if you'd like to come, I think there's going to be a pretty good turnout. Last time we had over 100, and I have had several. I've probably had at least 4 dozen emails or better, maybe more, of people asking about it, along with, some that I just know are going to be there. So if you're able to make plans, it's a good way to get to know the people around you. There's people from all over the Ozarks coming to this meeting, so there's a chance that you might meet someone that's fairly close to you. And that's how we build community, and that's the whole main purpose of these meetings, to build community. We also learn things and we share information, but building community is our first and foremost a goal with these meetings. All right, folks, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.